Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Lessons Learned from COVID, the Free Range Workplace. My name is Elaine DeLeo. I'm the co-founder of Atlanta Design Festival. We have a full event today. We're very excited. But before we get started, just a few housekeeping things. This event will be recorded, and we will send out the link to everyone that has registered or attended today. And with that, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Dean Horowitz, our moderator.
Thank you, Elaine. Oh, very good. Great. Are you seeing me?
See you on a purple screen.
Ooh, that's not good. I'm sorry. I'll just be a moment.
It's all right. Maybe while Dean's getting his screen up, Erin, why don't you go first and give us a little bio about yourself?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Erin Greer. I am with Gensler in our Atlanta office, and I am the co-director of our workplace studio. I've been with Gensler for a little over 13 years now, and also focus on our tech practice area in the Southeast region. So really focused on my career on creative workplaces and connecting client spaces to the culture and brand that they're really trying to exhibit to both their employees as well as represent in the broader environment. And we're certainly seeing a lot of shifts on that lately. And so excited to bring our research and our thought leadership from our firm of Gensler to the conversation today. So thank you for having me. And I'll pass it to Elise.
Yeah, hi, I'm Elise with Room and Board. Room and Board is a furnishings and accessories company here based in Minnesota. We're privately owned. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And I'm the outside sales manager for our business interiors team, so the commercial division of our company. We are so excited to be a part of this conversation and collaborate with Gensler and Cambria. There's so many things that are changing that we're all learning from each other. Just as we were before we were getting started, just talking to Erin about that beautiful space behind and how we have great laid plans with the spaces that we've designed or furnished. And now we're in this real environment of evolution that I think all three of us are pretty excited to share our perspective and collaboration today. So thank you for having me.
All right, I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Cath. I'm Executive Vice President of Design for Cambria, which you see behind me, which is one of Cambria's new designs, Portrush. We are a manufacturer of quartz surfaces, also based in Minnesota, so neighbors with Room and Board. I have been with Cambria for 18 years. So I say Cambria and I have grown up together, and I've worn many different hats, but today my true focus is on our innovation and design, which is one of our biggest efforts here at Cambria. We find that really gives us our edge in differentiating who we are and all the other things that we do that are high quality. I also lead up partnerships like what we've done with Gensler this year, which is our 20th. We're only half of Room and Board. We're 20 years old. We launched 20 designs in January, and then in the summer we launched 14 new designs with Gensler, which is called the Coordinates Collection. So I was lucky enough to collaborate with some of the amazing design talent at Gensler, and I had a blast. It was the first time we have ever collaborated on a design project. So it was really a wonderful project, and really happy to be here and amongst great company.
Great. Well, I'm Dean Horowitz, Chief Product Officer and President of commARCH, Commercial Architecture. And we serve architects and owners developers throughout the country. And it's an honor to be with all of you. I read some of the Gensler research, and it's pretty exciting. So I was thinking, Erin, if you could start the topic.
Yes, well, thank you. This is a topic that is changing and evolving as we speak. So I think where it stands today, we have been on quite the journey over the last 6 months. all of us collectively, and seeing all of the different positions emerge. Everyone is in very different places, I think personally, in how they're having to adapt and really cycle through the changes that we've all been thrust into. I think our research has really shown that in a lot of ways, it has been a continuation of an evolution that we've been on, but has catalyzed in very big ways changes much faster than any of us anticipated. So the topic that we have in front of us today, this idea of free range workplace, an idea that workplace is not just the desk you sit at every day, has been certainly a journey that we've all been on for a number of years, and certainly throughout the majority of my career. But where we sit today and the changes and evolution, and again, acceleration of this evolution to more of a distributed, autonomous workplace has been really profound. And working with all number of organizations and both bringing our research and adapting our research to the times that we're in now very quickly and nimbly early on has allowed us to gain really key insights along the way on how the conversation has evolved, and also really working hand in hand with our clients real time as they're trying to navigate how these external pressures, how these disruptions really need to reface their outlook on how they leverage the biggest resource we all have of people, our intellectual property, and how they maintain culture as we move through and have such a much more distributed workforce, also having to navigate the pressures that everybody's dealing with, you know, really blending and blurring the lines between work and home in very profound ways.
So there's a lot of people talking about, you know, Zoom calls and being remote and being out of the office and the good things, and then the stuff that frustrates them. What are some of the things that you found from the study that they're giving up through this transition, that you're looking at ways to ensure that it could be returned? Because I think that's going to be a nice pivot to the other panelists too.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we're really seeing it categorically across every research, talking, interviews, everything else. People miss the people. We miss those personal connections. You know, Summer was sharing some of her most recent stories about being able to connect with people. You know, being in the space behind me for the first time, you know, last week for a panel discussion. Our research shows overridingly that's what people miss. That's what we all are yearning for, is that personal connection that then builds the trust that allows us to collaborate, that allows us to challenge each other, and that allow us to find the space to innovate together within whatever organization you're a part of.
You know, I've heard a lot of stories of when you're in the office as an architect, you could turn your head and get a 3-minute quick, you know, some guidance or bounce something off. So how do you create an environment that represents who you are, who your brand is when you are remote? Thinking Elise?
Yeah, I think that's still unfolding as we find those opportunities, those new opportunities to replace the 3 minutes that you would have connected with your partner in a collaborative space. Like what are those new virtual ways that we are shaping that, I think is still being understood. However, when you think of, I think there's a continued evolution of how you bring that into the home workspace that is your new professional space, whatever business you are supporting. And so I think that companies are still figuring that out, clients that we're working with, to understand, you know, what is that package of furnishings that's important not only for ergonomics and health and wellness from working from home, because it's not exactly set up all the time to work from home. So how do we insert that important piece of the puzzle? But then also, how does, especially since we're so virtual, how do we continue to evolve so that that environment that they're presenting does really represent the brand? And so whether that's, presentation screens or something, right? I think these things are, I know for our product team, it's something that we're still in development of, to figure out what's going to be the best solution. Certainly we have the virtual backgrounds that we can leverage to really represent projects such as projects or products, as Summer and Erin have. But yeah, I think that package for furnishings, it's important to be guided by companies, and then continuing to understand how to stage, if you will, some of those spaces and work from home to be representative of the brand and the culture.
If we could spend a moment on that, because Room and Board, at least from an outsider's perspective, is perfectly positioned through distribution, through the types of products, through collaborations. We can talk about that with Cambria, to answer the call and make it a lot more simple. And especially when we're looking at long-term, these walls diminishing, it's just, if we look at the problem, you're the solution, I would assume.
Yeah, we've been in a lot of conversations with different companies to understand. We're there, we're ready, we're creating different packages based on what's important to each company. But yes, absolutely. We already had all of the solutions in our assortment, and now it's just shaping them in so many different design directions to align with the visual goal or the aesthetic goal or the ergonomic goal that they have for their teams working from home and working in the office, since we know that the office continues to evolve and how important it still is, but what's its new function.
Which is perfect for Cambria. So you're collaborating with Cambria on a line, aren't you? So Summer, would you talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. In fact, I just want to add, Elise, when I first started at Cambria, we aspired to your brand, being a local Room and Board brand, and always wanted to collaborate with you. So this really has been a dream come true. The collaboration is in a furniture collection. So if you think about Cambria, we've always been the perfect surface that is completely durable, non-porous, especially in a pandemic. We are the safest surface. So you think about cleanability. You can disinfect Cambria with bleach and water. You can't do that with granite and marble. You'll harm it. And so it really is a perfect surface for commercial, for furniture, for working and being safe. So the collaboration, and it's just the beginning. We know, Elise, that we want to continue this relationship and have more collections together. But our initial collection is called the Pren collection, which I believe is a Welsh word. Our company heritage is from Wales. That's where the dragon comes from, which is on the Welsh flag. The Pren collection has a number of different, there is a coffee table, there is a dining room table, there's chairs, there's a side table, and they're very mid-century modern looking. And I believe there's 3 or 4 Cambria designs that you can choose. They're available in all Room and Board stores across the United States.
Cool. So Erin, Gensler didn't sit and just do the research. You were also collaborated with in all this, correct?
Yes. We, as I mentioned, we've been collaborating with many of our clients, our partners, through all of this, yes.
So look, Gensler is certainly one of the finest firms and highly regarded, always has been. And you're doing quite a bit on your website to provide continually updated information, which is fantastic. And you have a great base of clients and future clients. So when we're looking at Room and Board and Cambria, what they could provide or will provide and are providing, how does Gensler look at that as an opportunity?
I think we all have such great opportunities right now to help people where they are and what they're challenged with. I know all of us are dealing with trying to adapt our home environments, as we've talked about, to accommodate so much more of the work time. And then those of us, going beyond that, those of us with children, trying to accommodate multiple people working in your house and virtual school happening, simultaneously. is a big challenge. And as you mentioned, these partners who are already ahead on, really looking at the space between or products that can serve both commercial as well as residential applications are going to help us get there, because the residential products are now having to do much more and be much more flexible and durable and adaptable to all of these new uses that they're going through, and those of us adapting our spaces within our home settings to accommodate that. And then as we move forward into the next phases, how do we look at, as certain organizations are in the office and partners are, some people are going to be in the office setting, some are going to continue to be in remote settings. And so how do we look at, maintaining some of the advantages that we've come out of this, of maintaining this kind of level playing field for so many different people, regardless of kind of where you are and what you're doing, you're still able to communicate, collaborate, and plug into an organization, the culture, the people, the conversations that you need to have.
Isn't it fascinating too? It's an evolution that just picked up speed. Like we've all been talking about equity and how do you bring diversity to your company. And with remote employees, you're breaking down all these boundaries to literally bring in the best minds from throughout the world. So making it a nice statement of who your company is and making them feel part of the culture just seems of incredible value to us as a society as well.
Yeah, we've heard really great feedback from introverts and people who have been previously marginalized or who have hearing or speech, impediments, that technology can really bring them, eye level with all of us and give that platform to communicate and have a voice where they may have been marginalized previously.
Yeah, great. Just incredible opportunities. So, gig economy has been going on for a little while. And with that, people who work at home aren't just necessarily working for one company. They've been working for multiple. So how do you avoid that through the home furnishings? How do you make it so that way they feel like they're an environment of the company and they're part of that culture while they're still remote?
Yeah, I think, it's really about the core values of the company that they're joining. And when you're well rooted in your core values, when I think of, different collaborations we've done with Cambria and why they're such a great partner to us, is because we're very similar in that we really hold American made and our vendors very close to the vest as far as how collaborative we are with them in the design and manufacturing of the furniture, why natural materials are important, why celebrating the beauty of those are important, why we feel so passionate about the customer experience, and why we shape our company around our showrooms and our virtual experience, our distribution, our delivery. All of those things are so integrated. And so I think that when it's really important, and it's the responsibility of every company to instill that with our remote employees. And so that I think is just that ongoing collaboration. And I know we've had conversations about like kind of being Zoom exhausted or whatever it might be, but I'll share that with one of our teams that I'm connected to, there was a delay in everyone getting their cameras. And so everything that we were doing was over the phone all of the time. And you just you can imagine once everyone got their cameras, like what a big difference that was. And so I feel like we will be successful in supporting our remote team members. We will be able to instill the culture within them so that they are passionate, whether they're working for multiple companies or just one, but they will be able to, and they'll have to align with the companies that they join to really thrive and trust and collaborate with their peers that will only be perhaps virtually.
Well, I love the idea of like a corporation in a box. So that way, depending on what the space is available, you already know what to set up in that environment. So that includes the camera and how you collaborate and all the different technologies. So Summer, you were collaborating obviously on this new line of furniture during an interesting time. So do you have some hints for companies that are doing something new, design oriented, when you do have that distance?
Yeah, the story I'd like to share actually was with Gensler, Room and Board. That collaboration really happened in 2019. So we were able to actually be together, and we were in the same state. We certainly had challenges this year with our collaboration with Gensler. The head product designer is based out of Los Angeles. And I believe Gensler still has a travel ban, so he's not allowed to travel. I would say we really got creative with FaceTime. There were moments where I was running around the plant with FaceTime, showing off samples and trying to get approvals. It got down to literally shipping slabs to our Los Angeles DC to get the final approval on the 14 Gensler designs. And we did that, I believe, in May. So that was right in the heat of not being able to go anywhere. And we were still able to communicate, use FaceTime, use Zoom, and literally shipping back and forth samples and slabs to get final approval. Nice. So we did it, and the collection, which is called the Coordinates, really brilliant. This came from Gensler. It's based on the natural color system, which is a system like Pantone. So all of the Cambria designs coordinate together, but also can coordinate with other tones that architects are basing off of the natural color system. So it really makes it easy to plug it into your projects and also to use in multiple areas within a commercial space. So beyond just the surfaces, your work surfaces, we also are launching a 6mm, very thin product that can be used for walls, elevators because of weight. And if you think about all the different areas, the whole collection can coordinate together.
I would think there's high interest right now.
There is high interest, yes.
High demand. So we've talked about like still the office, how important it is, and then being remote and how important that is. A lot of companies are doing those like shifts, right? And when you go into the office, it's de-densified, if you would. I don't know if that's the proper term, but how do you ensure that employees, when they come to the office, they don't find it disruptive anymore, that they feel like, okay, this is where I belong while I'm here?
I think the biggest way is to start with really understanding why they're coming to the office. And as an organization, connecting the why to what you're trying to achieve with your group and what they are able to do at home and what they are missing. So as we mentioned before, a lot of that is about connecting with people. We've seen, and a lot of organizations have seen, that the myth of not being productive at home when you're doing focus work has been debunked in a lot of ways for certain organizations doing that type of highly focused work. And so now organizations are able to have really productive conversations about where the nature of work needs to happen, regardless of time and space. So we're seeing them allow employees to do more of their focus work at home, and thus the space can be more about collaborating. And so it's really then looking at reallocating the space that you have within your setting in flexible, nimble ways to reduce the amount of focus space over time and give more back to larger, more flexible, team-based spaces. And organizations are at very different places in that continuum of moving from more private offices to more open, active environments. And depending on where they were pre-COVID, you can't jump 3 steps and go all the way. You have to really kind of bring people along with you and your organization and make sure the business continues to function as you adjust and tweak and move forward.
You see that in education too. And I'm going to go, so I had a conversation with somebody at Harvard, and I was like, the reason why you spend all that money to go to Harvard is not only the brand, but the level of talent you can interact with, which is the same thing with your organizations. So having the students have a off-site type experience where they're learning the basics and can bring them into a conversation, a more educated point of view. And then when they meet with those key people, they could have a professor that really lifts them from where they were able to get. I'm assuming that that's going to be part of how we do work as well. Yeah.
Yes, I think we've certainly been very intentional about how do we connect? How do we ingrain the next generation? How do we bring people along when, as you mentioned, we're not in the environment where we can overhear each other and learn through osmosis anymore? And I think we've had a lot of discussions with our leaders within our office, our teams. Don't do it by yourself. Always have someone on Zoom or that you're working with or collaborating with, so that they can observe or see how you're doing it. So many of our internal Gensler connection events, be it our super meetings, our practice area retreats prior, we would bring everybody together. And yes, we all miss that face-to-face opportunity to connect with our colleagues, across the world. But on the flip side, we've also been able to include so many more voices and the next generation within those conversations, and it's really brought another dimension to those as well. So going forward, we're trying to understand how we can maintain the best of both of those worlds.
So a lot of companies are doing these happy hours, and sometimes internal happy hours, and then sometimes with clients and just catching up in a more relaxed way. Is anybody doing that? Are you seeing it as successful? Nobody?
I think certainly we have a Pictionary happy hour on Friday that's scheduled. We're very excited about. We've had team Milestone events where we'll pick a theme. Our team is working on a big headquarters project here in Atlanta, and we picked a theme based on that project and all, dressed up as characters, and creating those spaces for culture to live on, to celebrate the successes that we are having during this time is so critical and important to maintain. So we've had, those are just a few of our stories here, and there's, I'm sure, so many more from the other teams as well.
It's good to hear because, sometimes you hear, well, we started doing it around April, and after a while, everybody was a little fatigued. And then, so they keep changing, so it's really good. Summer, you're in Minnesota. Is everybody back working in the company's buildings?
At Cambria, yes. We are all back. We've been back, I think, for 2 months at full force, full capacity. Our supply chain was never disrupted. Thankfully, we were deemed essential. So we've continued to carry on with Cambria. Certainly, as you all heard about, downtown Minneapolis is a different story. But yeah, Cambria is full speed ahead.
Awesome. Now, room and board, it's probably a mix. You have no choice. You have distribution. And
yeah, it's true. We, many of our teams were already in a workflow where it was partially work from home and partially work in the office. So when there was that period where everyone was working from home, we were already set up for all of that with our technology and our teams so there's no disruption for our customers through that process. Now, as we're continuing to move through the year, we are looking at our campus, how to, did you call it de-densify? I love that. That is great. We are de-densifying for sure here at Room. So, again, and so I really enjoy, as I'm sure our panel does, that opportunity to come back to this collaborative space, especially when you're in a creative company, whether it's the furnishings, the materials, the lab where we're developing furniture, the photo area where we're shooting all of our images. And so to have that balance is really helpful. But yes, so we have, some teams are still at home and some are working in the corporate campus. In our distribution centers, of course, we have shifted how we work so everyone can be distanced. We have very responsible safety practices and PPE in place for everyone. The delivery associates and that delivery experience for customers has evolved to a really so customers feel very comfortable and safe. So yes, everything has evolved, and I would say we're continuing to evolve, as we think about, to Erin's point, what workspaces look like. And there was a different, I should have gotten it, but there was an article from Gensler about less about a work environment and more now about a work experience. And I think that layers in really beautifully with the furnishings, and the furnishings matter, how you are creating the space that not only represents your brand and your culture, but also creates a space of calm, rejuvenation. We're there to collaborate and really feel great about the work that we're doing together. And so that was one thing for us at Room and Board. We have that residential style and commercial durability. So even as Erin was sharing, whether you're using it at home or in a workspace, or any kind of business segment space, we have a curated assortment that is warranted, that's BIFMA tested, ACT contract fabrics, all of these things that are really important. But how can you bring that forward in a way that is this really beautiful space using materials, comfort, color, new outdoor spaces, all of that, I think, is really kind of what we're seeing, the collaboration and evolution of our client spaces.
Isn't it interesting for this period of time, Starbucks was that third place, right? Yes. And we're learning about, during revolutionary times, the tavern was the third place, and that's how everyone got together and thought. So now the third place is actually within your home, and how do you establish it? So all this started coming down, February, March. I remember middle of March, I couldn't travel anymore. Mm-hmm. And for our company, we don't have an office, which has been great and lonely at times. But we found that when we get together on Zoom calls, a lot of it is more social than business. So when you're talking about the experience, being part of the company, that's become a lot of our experience, is just caring more, and knowing each other's stories more. Mm-hmm. Have you seen anything like that in your organizations?
I would say most definitely. Go ahead, Summer.
Oh, I was just going to add, when we were talking about the virtual happy hours, which is the social aspect of it, which we're all craving, which Erin was talking about. We have been hosting, so we have sales reps, about 125. They've always worked remotely in their homes, but now they're in a situation where they can't get into a Gensler office, or all the design offices are closed, and so we have to get creative. And we've been doing these social hours where we ship a bottle of wine and a pizza to each of the guests or attendees to our happy hour. And we've been hosting, whether it's speakers or a tour of an artist's studio to provide inspiration. We have not stopped doing that, even though people are Zoomed out. We can't, not everybody can travel. We didn't get to go to Salone, and we're all looking for outside inspiration. And so we're bringing that to our customers and clients, and transporting them into, a totally different world. And it's been fantastic.
That's, so many great points. We did a study recently on architects, and what we heard back was, for education, inspiration is needed now more than ever, because we're all getting so locked and we don't get to be exposed to all these other elements. It's fascinating.
Okay.
It's fascinating. So if we went back in time to March, and not to be cliched, just what are 2 or 3 things that if we knew today, we've been better prepared then? Well, obviously the cameras, webcams, and some technology.
Certainly technology, the importance of the spaces that we're working in, how to make all of our teams feel really prepared and comfortable. Again, I think we had that in our team, but I know that as we on the business side connected with a lot of different design firms, everybody was scrambling, trying to figure it out. Some were already postured and some weren't. So I think those were definitely some learnings.
Cool. Oh, well, we have some questions. Why don't we go into, and then we still have more to go on with our program. Okay, so I hope I read this well. working in a 40-person design group within a larger 200-plus person office that has been all hands back in the office full-time without a positive COVID case makes me struggle with whether we are over-isolating ourselves now. Would really find your thoughts on this important for communicating with our clients and our consultants. Who wants to go on that one?
That's a big one.
That's
a big one. That is a big one. I think, you know, my father is a healthcare professional. We've had a lot of these conversations, and there's no data out there right now. Everybody is having to, you know, really make their own decisions based on where they are as an organization, what their priorities are, what they're able to do given the means that they're in. And every organization, every individual is having a very different risk-benefit outcome equation. And I think, you know, out of that, I think we have to really encourage each other, promote each other to practice grace and understanding and inclusivity and recognize the diversity and inclusion ability in this time. And it goes into my answer to your last question. It's lean in. Disruptors are not going to stop. Things are not going to stop changing. And so don't wait for things to get back to normal, but figure out what, you know, what's right for you, what's right for your organization now and why, and be strong in that and solid in that and continue to adapt and evolve and be responsive to the needs of those, you know, within your organization. I think health and wellness is the other big, I think, anthem that we have danced around and touched on. But I think really, you know, exploring that and bringing all of these pieces together is another big, you know, really profound challenge facing all of us. And we have to work together for that.
In honor of the person who asked the question, they wanted to make sure we all understood they are being careful. they still are doing all the protocols.
As we trust you are.
So what about indoor air quality? Is that becoming more and more part of your conversations?
Oh, for sure. It is, you know, there's a great statistic out there that outdoor spaces are 18 times less likely to pass contaminants. We are seeing a lot of clients either prioritize implementation of, you know, more robust HVAC systems, at least explore it, you know, going into the future and try to plan that into proposals, new projects. We're certainly talking about how do we continue to amplify and leverage outdoor spaces, create outdoor spaces, program outdoor spaces, and create, you know, those, as you mentioned, the home being the third space. Outdoor spaces are a close fourth right now. And so really kind of, yes, wholeheartedly yes.
It would probably be great to be working on a restaurant right now that you're envisioning and designing with that need for more outside space, and how do you make it work during the winter, and lots of very interesting things to come through.
Yeah, I just read an article actually that New York, I think, just implemented that they will keep their outdoor dining spaces throughout the winter. So we partnered with the Rockwell Group in New York on open streets to get restaurants back open as soon as possible with the New York Hospitality Association. And that was a really exciting project, but it was to use these outdoor spaces in a new way when it wasn't zoned previously to use sidewalks or some parking spaces, but how they've just really collaborated with the city to be able to create now these new pods to have safe, cleanable, beautiful, organics are integrated in with a lot of planters and things. So I think, yeah, just continuing to figure out week by week what we're going to try and what will be successful and what will pass away.
My understanding is in Midtown dead, but the Village is alive right now because of the restaurants being so open.
Yeah, and I think when we were working on that project, they were working on common spaces in all 5 boroughs, the one that we partnered with was in Chinatown, you know, and I think the space that we collaborated on serviced something like 100 some restaurants, you know, because it's so dense in that area. So to be able to support those restaurateurs and getting back and thriving in new ways has been exciting. And then to Erin's point about the outdoor spaces, to now even see a city like New York will be figuring out how to do outdoor throughout the winter to promote health, safety, air quality, all of those things.
You know, we just, and it relates to Charles's question, so thank you, Charles. And I'm going to talk to you, Summer. But we just did a study to find out the frustrations for building product manufacturers on how they connect with architects, since they can't necessarily go in the offices. So Charles's question fits perfectly in where he goes, what are the dimensions of the 6 millimeter Cambria slabs?
They are our standard 60 square foot slabs. So full slab size, which is fantastic. And I wanted to add in on the air quality question we were just talking about, that Cambria also has the LEED certification for being low VOC. So we don't emit any toxins or anything into the air, which is really helpful. That's actually something that you can find in quarried stone. If you think about what's in the earth.
Are you presenting that now? And in your marketing, have you changed it so that way you are the solution and it's just for companies, they could just put it right together?
We've always had all of these fantastic benefits. They just mean a lot more today. And we are leaning in and using these great benefits to Cambria in all of our sales tools for sure.
Here's a question.
And I think those are the types of dimensions of health and wellness that are on all of us to educate as people are spending more time in residential environments that have not prioritized the health and wellness of the materials and built environment content and what it can do for us spending more time. You know, we hear about ergonomics, but there's so many more life cycle and resilience and health and wellness considerations that we need to take into consideration as we're starting to influence the residential environments or beyond the workplace, if you will. And the more time we spend in spaces that we haven't historically spent, and the more we're asking those spaces to do for us, and there needs to be a balancing of the risks as well. So some of the technologies or newly adopted, you know, we need to look at the longer term effects as well, both short term and long term, and make sure that we're making really healthy decisions for all of us going forward. And I think, you know, mental health is another component of that, you know, that getting the ergonomics, making healthy environments, and as Summer alluded to, creating environments that, or mentioned, that bring a sense of calm that can help offset the Zoom environment that, you know, you're on screen with all day. What's gonna help us feel that that connection with nature, you know, to really balance the technology side and keep the humanistic community centered, you know, health and wellness piece as well.
Like Elise said about the restaurants, my wife is buying so many plants now.
That'll be the next shortage that we have is plants, biophilia.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to be really clear on this. What we've been talking about, though, isn't really revolutionary. It was just new priorities almost, isn't it? That things were already talked about and maybe they were on a checklist as 2 or 3, now became 1 and 2 or something like that. Is that fair for all of our businesses?
Yeah, and I think that to all of our company's points, like the things that we had already been a part of the fiber of who we are now are just even more important to bring forward. So when we are talking about healthy environments, healthy furnishings, having that awareness. We at Room and Board were founders of the Sustainable Furnishings Council, which was really created years ago to address, like, what are we putting into the furniture that we're making? Is it safe? How can we guide ahead of any laws that are even created to make sure that these furnishings are safe? It used to be part of the law that you included fire retardants in your furniture, which are not healthy, but it was part of the law. You had to include them because we all used to smoke in bed and fall asleep smoking and stuff all the time. And so things would start on fire a lot more than they used to, which I know seems funny, but it's true. It was part of what guided all of these fire retardants that were very unsafe. And so we got together with some other manufacturers just to say, like, how can we push this? What does this look like? And continue to partner with, certainly California is always the leader in that safe and wellness. But we always are pushing to what else can we do? What are the materials, and not only for our company, but inspiring others to have that same path. But that's something, to Summer's point, that we had always done. We had always already done that, but it's even more important now as we think about all of these new layers that are safety and wellness.
So the sustainability organization actually is in the town, and I know them pretty well, in the town where we live in. And there was always this talk of, well, is it really going to hit furniture? Is furniture really going to be something that people focus on, or is it just going to be the building envelope for forever? My assumption is they're getting a lot of calls. There must be a lot of interest now. How do we choose the right furniture?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we want to have that right design aesthetic, that quality, durability, and beauty, but also that layer of safety. And so, yes, absolutely, that is high on the mind of our clients who are in this state of evolution of all of their spaces in every business segment. And what are those furnishings going to provide? And then all of the new layers of, can it be bleach cleanable? All of these different things that are even heightened now. But yes, absolutely, very, very important to consider the furnishings.
So Erin, maybe a decade ago, one architect said to me, "Oh yeah, sustainability is fine until people walk in the building." I thought that was funny then. I still think it's funny. But when you're designing, obviously you're very conscious of that already when you're doing it in a sustainable environment. Are there some things that Gensler and your team have looked upon before that we could all learn from?
I think we're a part of research at all levels within that. We really set out to use our culture, our platform to demonstrate the way we believe we need to be stewards of that, given our place in buildings, and that buildings are such a huge component, of the story. And so being part of the 2030 Challenge, being part of the climate change initiatives, we were one of the only firms to sign the Paris Pledge many years ago. It is something that is very ingrained in our organization, and Diane Hoskins is our leading charge there, and that emanates through everything that we do. So we're trying to look at decisions of who we partner with, of what materials that we're selecting, of how that's gonna not just now but long-term stream effect. We're looking beyond just the rating systems of LEED and WELL buildings, and how do we really do what's right for people long-term, and make healthier environments that are more resilient and responsive to the disruptions that are going to continue to happen through climate change, through technology evolution, through pandemics and others. So yes, at all levels.
So when you have that kind of knowledge, like you do, are you more selective with clients as a result?
I think we look at all clients as an opportunity. We really, we're bringing that eye to every project that we are approaching, regardless of whether our clients ask us to or not. we are designing sustainably. We are making as responsible of decisions as we can within the context that we have. And every client relationship is an opportunity for us to educate further. And so through our design choices and through our opportunities to connect with clients, we're able to educate them on things they may not have been previously aware of, and connect that to their business values and organizational values and culture and who they're trying to be. And prior to now, and I think it will continue to be, that employees have a huge voice in that. You know, all organizations are trying to continue to attract and retrain and inspire the next generation of workforce. And that next generation looks very, very different from what we maybe thought it would. And I think will continue to evolve in really significant ways. And so how, you know, in order to connect, organizations are recognizing that they really need to embrace you know, those values and demonstrate them, not just talk about them, and demonstrate them through action, how they build the environments, how they support their employees at home or wherever they are working from.
Very interesting. So you're probably going to say no, but and that's okay. I still want to introduce this. Spiral dynamics. Is anyone familiar with it? It's about cultures and how they evolve. So the ultimate is this green type culture. And part of it is you can't take somebody from this all the way up here. You still have to evolve. So what I'm thinking from our conversation is it's a speedier, the spiral is spinning like a carnival ride. And we're all going to probably get further along as a society as a result, which is amazing. Well, okay.
We hope so. We hope that's the inspiring, hopeful aspect of all of this, is that that despite the challenges everyone's facing, if we can keep focused on the opportunities we have to make a difference, and to make sure that we get to the end of the next level of the spiral in a healthier, more resilient way for all of us, and bringing everybody along together.
Oh, wonderful. Summer, Charles has more questions for you.
Charles.
Here you go. Are we now calling the 60 square foot slabs standard, not jumbo? What are we calling the 47 square foot slabs?
Well, we have more 60 square foot slabs in our collection than we do the smaller slabs. They are jumbo. That's correct. He is correct. It's a jumbo. And in fact, there is a super jumbo size. We don't yet offer them, but that's something potentially in Cambria's future. So he is right. That is a jumbo. We just have more jumbos. Something else I wanted to add, Dean, on sustainability. No, Elise and Erin talked a little bit about it. Cambria really has always set forward to be a very sustainable company. 100% of our water is recycled here at the plant. Through hydroelectricity, we power our mine. We, in fact, own our own mine, which is in North America. We harvest that quartz, bring it here to Minnesota, and our distribution channels are pretty controlled. So being domestic, being American made really contributes to that sustainability. In our Gensler collection, we launched 2 designs that are recycled, and they are certified third party by the SCS certification. So we are really listening to, beyond just all of our tactics here at Cambria and what we do to become a very efficient, sustainable organization. We're listening to the commercial world through our relationship with Gensler, who, as you've heard, has a big focus on the future in health, wellness, and sustainability. We are looking to launch more products that are recycled and really contribute to that sustainability. One of our designs, called Britannica Block, in fact, recycles unused Britannica, which is one of our top-selling designs. our quality control is essential, and there may be slabs that are rejected. We take those slabs, we've sliced them up and made a butcher block looking Britannica, which is 98% recycled. So we're just looking for more ways to innovate also in our product line, to be as sustainable as possible. It's the spiral. We just got to continue to go up, right? Look for new ways to be, to lessen that carbon footprint, which we're all trying to do that.
That must be a big sense of pride for everybody.
That's right.
Very important.
Okay, well, we only have a few seconds left. Any suggestions before we cut off on what action steps people watching should take?
I would say as you're retooling your space, oh, sorry, Erin.
No, go ahead, Elise.
Just again, as we're all in that state of evolution, and that's okay. And to reach out to any of us as experts in that area of how to support the evolution, how to create these new, safe, beautiful, and promoting that wellness and rejuvenation. And just understanding that we lean on those experts, because we help clients over and over again. And what seems very challenging to some is actually very streamlined and easy for us, because we are solving those solutions or creating solutions in that arena all the time.
Great. Anybody, anything else before we close?
And I think taking the opportunity to collaborate with people, just kind of spiraling off of what Elise was talking about, it's been really incredible to collaborate with partners that we previously have not, both on the client side as well as the product side, and bringing more minds together to solve these challenging problems that are in front of us, and putting our collective genius together has been a really rewarding and inspiring opportunity for all of us. And to continue to push for the health and wellness, the bringing everyone forward, really connecting the conversation, having the conversations within your organization of what is right for you, what is authentic, and how are you going to evolve your culture and make sure that you're not waiting for things to get back to normal, but leaning in and taking advantage of the challenges we have now to create new opportunities to bring people together and promote your culture.
Well, Erin and Gensler, thanks for sparking this. Summer, Elise, thank you. It was a real honor to be with you today. So thanks for joining me.
It's amazing. And thank you, Atlanta Design Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.